Good evening. I'm going to stretch my legs here, but sitting. Senior moment. All right. Well, I look around the room tonight. I kind of flashed back when I walked in the room here tonight. I used to come down here about 20 years ago. My stepfather was a real hardcore German kraut. He called himself a kraut. And we used to come down here and do dancing. My mom and him were really into dancing. We used to come down there. So I walked in here and I remember this place. We used to sit right over there. There's a table over there. It was always on that side there. So it's great to be here. I want to thank Bob for asking me to come down here tonight. I didn't know I was going to be here tonight until 2 days ago when I got the program and I saw my name on it. And I said, what am I supposed to do? And he said, I'd like you to talk about how to save the country and save our kids. And as somebody who I've spent a lot of years, 23 years now in ministry, about half of those as a pastor. I served as a secretary at the Eagle Forum here in Orange County. Did a radio talk show for 10 years and left in 2016 after the election of Donald Trump because I realized I could no longer sit behind a microphone and talk about the game. I needed to get out there and get in the trenches. So I am what you call a pastor turned activist. And so when it comes to things like doing things and getting things done, that's what I like to focus on. Because sometimes, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm a very honest person, so I hope you can handle my honesty. I come into groups like this, and we do this at the Eagle Forum every month. And I sit up there and I say whatever I have to say, and I kind of get the feeling that I'm sitting in front of a congregation who's going to listen to my message, tell me what a good word it is, and walk out and do absolutely nothing with it. And that's probably the biggest problem we have in the country today, is that the church has become so complicit, so complacent, so stagnant, and just watching. It's like I see so many people today that I look around and it's like I see in their eyes so many so-called conservatives are like deers in the headlights. It's like you guys are still trying to figure out what's going on. And for so many years, for so many decades here, we've elected people expecting them to do their job. They're not doing their job. They haven't been doing their job, and we're just now finding that out. And so I'm kind of hardcore about this stuff. So what do we do? How do we save this country, and how do we save our kids? To me, they're one and the same. You can't save the country without saving the kids, because that is the next generation. As Mark said, he stole one of my quotes tonight. Ronald Reagan said, we're only one generation away from freedom, from losing our freedom. It's not in our blood. We have to teach it to the next generation. Benjamin Franklin, when the Republic was founded, said, when he was asked, do we have a monarchy or a republic? He said, you have a republic if you can keep it. Abraham Lincoln said, we'll never be defeated by foes outside the country. It will come from within. And these are things, these are prophetic utterances from people that helped establish this republic and have kept it going on. And these are the things that need to be at the forefront of our thinking. My platform or my action plan has always been one of three things. It's education, information, and participation. A lot of people are really good at the first two. They'll sit through the education and they'll listen to the information, and then you do nothing with it. They don't participate. And if you want to know why we're facing what we're facing today, it's because you and I have not been participating. We've been sitting around watching and expecting the people that we elect to do what we've elected them to do. And they're not doing it. And they're not going to do it until something changes. You've got to get people in there that will do something. We have some good candidates here tonight. But I can tell you this, and I say this very honestly, years long being on the radio and talking out in public and meeting people, I guarantee you that I could go to each and every one of you in this room tonight, and I could ask you to tell me what a conservative is. And I bet two of you could tell me. Two of you could give me a definition of what it really means. I just got one of my little propaganda emails the other day from Jim DeMint. Election time's coming up, so you start getting emails for money. And it always starts out with something like, we have to keep government small. And by you keeping me in office, we're going to keep government small. I don't see that. I just see it as the Republicans' version of big government. And he quoted conservatism. He said conservatism is taking the ideas of yesterday and applying them to the challenges of tomorrow. And I thought, what a bunch of bunk. Conservatism is a dogmatic adherence to principles and tenets established by the founders of this country as they intended it. It's dogmatic. It's pure. There is no compromise. Barry Goldwater once said, once you agree to compromise with your enemy, you've already told them you're willing to give something away. This is what's been happening over decades. Little by little, we've been giving a lot away. The left moves in inches, and they've been doing it for a long time, and they'll continue to do it. It's only now, with the election of Barack Obama, I remember on my show back in 2008 saying, I think it might be good if Barack Obama got elected. We find out just how far left the Democrat Party has moved. Blew me away. I didn't know they'd gone that far. Because now they're open about it. Now they're just out in the public and they don't care if you like it or not. Because at this point in time, they don't think there's anything you can do to stop it. Well, back to my plan. 3 things: education, information, participation. And it applies to both you and your children. My wife and I raised 8 children who gave us 18 grandkids. And we now have 6 great-grandkids. And I can tell you, I have grandchildren in the Philippines. And my wife is Filipina. And I can tell you today that I could sit down with any one of my grandchildren and they could explain to you what an American Republic is. Because I take the time to talk. And this is what we're not doing. And the reason we're not doing it is a lot of people that claim to be conservatives need to know what a conservative is. You need to understand, you need to be able to articulate what it is you believe in. It's not repeal and replace Obamacare. That's just the Republicans' version of Obamacare. Repeal Obamacare. That's conservative. That's what it's about. It's about putting private enterprise, private property, free enterprise back in the hands of the citizens. Instead of letting the government say, well, we'll subsidize this, we'll throw some money out here, we'll do this, and then we'll turn around and give you a mandate. I just looked the other day, Donald Trump is out there tweeting about eradicating homelessness in California. Now I'm going to tell you, when I saw that, I said, what in blazes are you doing talking about homelessness in California? This is a California issue. It's a church issue. It's not a government issue. See, we allow these people to tell us what conservatism is. So, education. You need to start educating yourself as to what you actually believe. Start doing some reading. And don't spend your time listening to Fox News. Fox News is just like CNN, they just got better clothes. It's a propaganda network, and you have to understand this. Until we as conservatives understand that the people we think are our friends are not our friends, we're not going to come to the awareness and the reality of the fact that we are the people, not them. I look at 2 things. I do all my research on the internet. If I want to find something about Agenda 21, I don't go to Carlson Tucker or Tucker Carlson. I go to the internet and I find it out there and I start reading. And I have articles. I'm with the Election Integrity Project. I have about 50 articles that I've written, that I've saved. I pull up about what voter fraud is. Does anybody here know what fusion voting is? You know, we have fusion voting in California. Look it up. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Look it up. The point being, you need to educate yourself. Not let other people educate you. Educate yourself. Information is finding out who's doing what and why. You need to find out who's doing what and why. You get your campaign letters asking for money to re-elect an office so we can keep limited government, and you know as well as I know We don't have limited government from either side of these parties, any of the parties. You need to understand what that is. Last and most important is participation. If you have children, homeschool, plain and simple. That to me is the answer. Homeschool, charter schools, private schools, have some say in what's going on. If you cannot do that and your children are in public school, you need to start paying attention to what they're being taught. I had a pastor, my pastor, years ago, his daughter was told to write a paper, his granddaughter was told to write a paper on homosexuality. She wrote a paper based on the Bible, and she was failed. She brought it home to her grandfather. He said, well, this isn't right. So he went and he asked the teacher, why did you do this? She said, well, the grammar and everything was bad. He said, well, so if she resubmits the paper, you'll reconsider the grade maybe? Okay. He wrote the paper and submitted it. Failed her. He went back to the principal. He said, well, I want to know why. Turns out the teacher was a lesbian. Didn't like what she had written. So, what we did, activism. We called the Orange County Register and said, we're going to have a press conference down in front of Marina High School. And we're going to talk about this homosexual agenda. We're Christians. We're evangelical Christians. We're evangelical Christians that voted for Donald Trump. Be there. The principal regraded her paper. She ended up getting a B on it. That really got my pastor angry. He says, I'm a college degree, I should have got an A. But the point being is that when you push against these people, they will relent.
Yes.
Because they do know they're wrong. The LGBT movement is nothing more than about appeasing people that know they're doing something wrong and wanting you to accept it on their terms. And if you don't believe that, I'll be honest with you, I have nothing against homosexuals. You want to be that way? That's between you and God. Don't mess with my kids. Don't come after my kids and tell them that they have to accept what you do. That isn't going to happen in my neck of the woods. Not on my watch. So, if you have kids in college, I met some gentlemen months ago. All told me they were conservatives. I took them at their word. Found out that they're not. They believe in certain conservative tenets, but they do not believe in conservatism as a complete ideology. I asked one of them, how can you tell me you're a conservative, but tell me you agree with same-sex marriage? He said, well, I think I'm a conservative because I don't think the government should tell us what to do. I said, well, that's a very generic definition, and I would agree with that. But there is such a thing as civil society. There is such a thing as natural law. These are the things that preserve our republic. The adherence to natural law, as dictated by our Creator who endowed us with inalienable rights, based on His terms and conditions. Point being, I said, so you're not willing to face the truth. He said, there is no truth, there's only perception. How can you tell me you're a conservative and say that? So what I'm getting to is you need to start having dialogue with your kids. Start talking to them. Start finding out what they're being taught. Start finding out what they're thinking. Find out what you agree with, what you don't agree with. And for God's sake, pass some of your generational knowledge on to them before you leave this world. Amen? Thank you.